Hello, my name is Carol Westlake, and today I'm here interviewing Cecil Williams for the ADA in Tennessee Oral History Project. The date is May 29th, and we're in Nashville, Tennessee, talking about the ADA. Cecil, I'm glad you're here. Thank you for coming today.
Thank you for having me.
A major goal of our project, the Oral History Project, is to contribute to an historical understanding of sort of the disability experience in Tennessee and experience with the Americans with Disabilities Act, and so we're really delighted that you are here to talk to us about those things. So for a start, would you just tell me a little bit about yourself?
I'm from Chattanooga, Tennessee. I deal with the physical disability called spinal cerebellar ataxia. It affects your speech, your gait, your fine motor skill, yeah. I love sports. So I found sports in adaptive sports in 2018. So you name it, I've done it. Cycling, racing, adaptive mountain biking, everything, surfing, you name it, I've done it.
Wow. Were you an athlete before your disability?
I joined track in high school. I wasn't the fastest, but I loved the experience.
How did you find adaptive sports?
It found me.
Oh, really?
It found me. I just for me, you know how you have a hunch that there's something more out there that you haven't found. Yeah. So I was looking, and I would go to different networking events with my friend as a support, and a volunteer asked me, "You need help?" I'm like, "Sure, I need help." And they were like, "Yeah, I volunteer for such foundation." I was like, "Wait." I was like, "Email me." Then he emailed me after the event, and I went to my first adaptive cycling clinic, and I was blown away. That was like April 2018, and I was blown away. I said, "You mean I get to live again?" So I want to do everything to it just kind of spark world of its own.
Yeah. So, in terms of the impact of your disability, did it, at first it felt like you weren't living again? Is that,
Now the backstory, I used to be, by age 3, I was hearing impaired.
okay.
So hard of hearing, so, they speech therapy throughout school and a little special education, for my speech. And I grew up, and right after high school and freshman year of college, I had a head-on collision. First car, it was my first car at 1995, Toyota Corolla. I loved it. I had 2 weeks. And boom, it caught me by surprise. It wasn't in my plan. But it happened when it pulled up. And so that was in 2003, and then that diagnosis was found in March of 2004, and I didn't have much symptoms right then. I thought I was just goofy, but I fractured my wrist and severed my pink bone, my left wrist, I'm sorry, and severed my left pink bone. And my hand doctors thought it was carpal tunnel, so they sent me to a specialist to get some nerve work done, and they found peripheral neuropathy, and it led on to other problems.
Yeah, so you've had a number of different kinds of disabilities and disability experiences sort of over time.
I'm gonna be very transparent with you. I'll stand up here, but I always wanted to be with the able-bodied people, with the people that didn't have a physical disabilities. I said I was in special ed. I loved them, but I didn't want to be limited. So, so throughout my life, I had various types of disabilities, and without knowing that, I learned how to adapt. And I just wanted to be normal, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does make sense. And, I think that's really one of the things about like the Americans with Disabilities Act was really designed in a lot of ways to make life more normal, right, for people with disabilities, because sometimes it's the environment that's disabling. Sometimes it's an accommodation you need. And I think adaptive sports is probably an example of that, right? I mean, the adaptations make it accessible, right?
I agree. I didn't know how much I needed accessibility until I became disabled. I didn't think about how much it mattered. It didn't cross my mind, because you don't know what you don't know, right? So when I found adaptive sports, let me go back a little bit. I went on, I call it the Adventures of Cecil. That was my aha moment in 2018. It was the empty photo album. And, I just made declaration. I want to live more. I want to do more. I want to love more. I want to experience life like never before. And I did that. I was 34. I just turned 34. And I was raised to live. And for the longest, I became officially, permanently physical disabled in 2008. So it took a process of time for the idea of a slowly progressive disease, degenerative disease, this will. So the research of Cecil, I was like, I wanted to experience life. It was things to put up. So I was like, kinda, I put myself out there. I was just sure more people with disabilities, right? They live in a bubble, right? Because they don't know what's out there. Like I said, I didn't know what I didn't know. So, I didn't know. So, when I started putting myself out there, I started finding the adaptive sports. I want to learn more about this. And I'm just, my curiosity opened up. And that's how I got into advocacy. So, it found me. That's what I went and looked for it.
That right. How did advocacy find you?
Advocacy, I was posting pictures of me doing rock climbing, video. I was having fun. I was saying, hey, you can live. This, tagging the foundation. brand awareness, say, hey, you can do what I'm doing. You're disabled with the able body, but hey, you can do this. You know, you have to get on research though, but I tag people. But how Africans found me was people started, my name started coming up in conversation. Alright, so I'm like, what is the Media Council on Disability? What is that? What is that? Like, why do y'all want me? When, let me see what this is. I mean, I already have a disability. I already deal with the disability. I'm already fighting. Maybe it can align with what I'm already doing.
So, did you have to fight for access to things? Is your community fairly accessible? I'm thinking again about the Americans with Disabilities Act and some of those requirements, right? That things are out there and available. Do you find that Chattanooga is a fairly accessible community?
It does. You have to look for it. It took me 10 years to find that the sports. I mean, that's my truth. It's a handful of people that know about the wonderful opportunities that's available for people with disabilities, So that's why I'm so passionate about it, about the sports, about advocacy. I'm like, there's more if you want it, right? But some people are comfortable with where they at in life. Okay, I don't foster for that, but I wanted more. Basically, I want to see how far I can go.
There you go. But you also, you said, you didn't know what you didn't know. And that's probably true for a lot of other folks in our disability community as well, right? And so some of that work that you do that found you, the advocacy work, whether it's, the council or I know that you participate in the Statewide Independent Living Council, right?
Mm-hmm.
What do you think that kind of participation can do for you and for others in the community?
Well, for me, I found my voice. I found something worth fighting for. I was already fighting, but like once you find something that gives you purpose and gives you meaning, that more than just about you, you found it, right? 'Cause I'm not just fighting for just me, I'm fighting for people that come after me, and people that's still around that may not know, so it just, I have to be transparent. You have to put yourself out there, and that's the scary feeling for people with disabilities, all kinds, whether it's invisible, physical, you don't know how the outside world is going to view you. And maybe it's all in your head. Maybe they're not thinking about you. Maybe they want to help you, but they don't know how. But if you show yourself friendly and you let people know what you need, they want to help you. But, for me, I put myself out there, and I find, uh, whatever came with it, that the obstacles, the misunderstandings, the mistakes, I got back up and fought for my place in the room.
Yeah. Yes. So, the Americans with Disabilities Act, again, is sort of designed to make a place in the world for folks with disabilities, right? And you have found a way to put yourself out there to try to make sure that that really happens. What do you think the world would look like if we were doing this really well for folks with disabilities and the ADA was really fulfilling its promise?
That's a good question. We have a long way to go. I think for me personally, I can only speak for me. I learned how to adapt, how to let people help me. But it's still hard. And there's still places, establishments that not accessible, with for my disability. So, in the perfect world, it would be normal. It would be normal, not say, hey, that's inspiring. No, it's inspiring, but it's normal. Let's make it normal. Tending tables, we need this. Tending tables in state parks, we have that now. Curb cuts. We're getting there. It's a slow process, but let's make it normal. When you go inside the establishment, right, and they see a person with a disability, or they may not know, but like a person can feel comfortable coming up to someone at the establishment and be like, hey, can you accommodate me? That should not be weird.
Right. That should not be weird.
Can you come? I like what you like. All right, but I need to enjoy what you like.
You think the presence of people with disabilities in the community moves that forward?
I want to see more of that. Some things I do, maybe because I still drive, fortunate to still drive, but there's the presence of people with disabilities, but there's also a disconnect. If that makes sense, does that make sense?
What do you think that disconnect is?
They only go where they feel safe, and I'm that person that pushes down the road to where it's not safe, but I'm figure it out.
How do we make the community more safe, do you think? And more accessible?
We need more transportation for not just older people with disabilities, but also younger people with disabilities. They have their caregiver or guardian, whatever it may be, but have more transportation for people with disabilities to travel. I like to go to Atlanta a lot. I stay in Chattanooga. I drive 2 hours just to race. Because that's what I love to do. But everybody can do that. How it takes money and transportation. But to answer your question, is that we have to address those barriers. that people with different abilities, disabilities, may face. Okay? You can't put us all in the same bandwagon. My disability may be different than the next. You know, you have neurodiverse, you have people that deal with sensory, hard of hearing. I deal with being hearing impaired. People with cerebral palsy, people with amputee. You know, accessibility looks different for everyone with a disability.
It does look different, does it?
Right? You know, so it's like, okay, what do you need? You know,
Over time, so you had a young experience with a hearing impairment, right? And that's sort of a disability and a car accident that created some temporary disabilities, I'm sure. And then this diagnosis that's kind of been progressive. So you've had a different sets of experiences over your lifetime. Do you think that the community is getting better at accommodating people with disabilities and including people with disabilities? I'm back to thinking about the sort of advocacy and activism that you've engaged in, that other people have engaged in the community. You said we have a long way to go, and I think that's absolutely true. Do you think we've made progress over your experience?
we definitely make progress. Um, the the doors where you can push to open, you know, that's a lifesaver. Curb cuts, being served for this purpose, you know, 'cause they use a manual wheelchair, ramps, serves this purpose. And a lot of other things like volunteers. You may need volunteers for different events. They help people with disabilities that may need it. You know, still adaptive push. You know, they need volunteers. Like, for example, mountain biking, right? So, if I'm in the manual wheelchair, I need help getting on the bike, so I can enjoy being in the woods. You know, so it takes a village.
It does take a village. Yeah. It is our village is getting better, you think?
I think it is. I think it is. I don't want to be around the bush. When I'm saying that it's getting better, you know,
But if there was a barrier you could fix, what would it be?
transportation.
Transportation.
That's the biggest one. You know, let's say now I'm going to Colorado. Why would you want to go to Colorado? So wants to, you know, to what's a foundation that adaptive mountain biking, rafting, and it's a different atmosphere and different people. You know, it's there for you to enjoy. I think, but what I really want to say is that you have to be your own self advocate, right? And that's what, for me, that's what I had to. I had to learn how to speak up, right? Speak up for things I may need, you know, because no one knows what you need until you tell them, right?
Right.
So you can't get mad because they don't know, right? So it's you have to learn how to open your mouth.
And you've learned how to do that.
I did. Uh, I used to not have a voice. Um, and one of my parents with my voice, you know, they stopped for me, speaking before the physical disability, but they did all my things for me. They were my voice, so I had to learn to depend on them. But when I learned that, hey, sister, you have a voice. Your voice is your power,
Right.
right? And there's a lot of things that I haven't learned for me. As I was told you to somebody else being my voice. So when I found my voice, I'm speaking for other people, not just me. I mean, I know how to say what I'm saying.
Because self-advocacy really is advocacy. And that's probably the most important message of advocacy is that your voice is your power. For yourself and for others.
It is. I mean, it matters. What's in your mind? What you have in your mind, your ideas, your vision, all that stuff matters, right?
Right.
And if you have a disability, you're not able to write. I'm not able to write. So I use a cell phone. I can tell someone else to write this for me, write this down for me. It's like, so what I'm saying is that don't be silent. All right? You have to keep fighting.
Yeah. Good.
And I'm a fighter. I'm a fighter.
That might be a good message to end on. Is there anything else that you'd like to share with me today?
If I can tell you anything from me, accept your disability, right? As I learn how to accept mine, I deal with. That means that you have it, but you don't have to like it. But you can do something about it, right? I had to learn how to love myself, right? And I went to therapy to deal with those traumas, those things that that's going on that I may not understand. But if you have someone to talk to help you get through that stuff that's in your mind that it's hard to get through, you gotta face it. You gotta face it. I mean, you gotta take responsibility. And another thing is that it's all scary, but at the end of the day, if you put yourself out there, you can look back and say, hey, I did that. I did that. But I'm wise enough to know that it wasn't just me. Somebody being inspired by what I'm doing. Whether they able-bodied, whether they have a disability, whether they don't know if they can. Like, some people will say, I do obstacle course racing, right? That's whether I'm out there on the courses, in my hike freedom grid share, just, and I have a team and we navigate through the woods, through the forest and obstacles. But when I'm saying is that I did that, whether it's 5 miles, whether it's 10 miles, I completed that. And you're dealing with this disability and you say that you can't do that, I'm like, hey, I just did that. What do you mean you can't do that? I did it. That's my takeaway. I want, when people look at me, I want them to understand that they can do it too. But you gotta want it. It takes time. Build up your confidence, your self-esteem. I'm confident, but I had to build it up. And the last thing too I want to say, last two thing I want to say is, you have to put yourself out there. And you have to speak up for yourself.
Good. Those are important lessons. Appreciate that. Thank you so much for being here and for sharing sort of your story and your perspective on disability in the community and on the ADA. Thank you.
Thanks for having me.